Yo, just get started. Like, just get started. Take one small step that you can do to get started on whatever that thing is. For me, it's been trying to figure out how to make content and like, how do I build this? How do I tell my story and have fun doing this, but not get completely swamped and overwhelmed by the amount of time that it takes to make content? And so it's literally just, if you get an idea, record it and kind of edit it together, and just bit by bit, you're going to get better and better and better and better. And Mr. Beast, I watched an interview of him. He's like, you don't even get to think about views, subscribers, none of that until you get to 100 videos. You have to get to 100 videos to see, one, if you can even sustain this and if you can even be in the game. And then two, you're going to find your style and you just try to get better at one thing every single video. I'm figuring out which format that I like to do by making it. Like, I'm not studying it. Like, the only way you're going to find out is if you actually like get into it and start making it. You're going to be like, well, shit, like that's actually really hard for me to sustain. Or like, hey, I can actually crank these bits out like pretty quickly. Or like, hey, I actually like this. And you can immediately find some inspiration and then put it into play. But you don't get to do any of that if you don't start and you don't try. Like, I literally film on an iPhone. This is an iPhone video, you know, some lighting, you get a mic, and your production value is there. And the other shit, it doesn't even matter, production value. Like, people want to see raw, people want to see real. People, if you can tell a good story and like you can make it interesting, the production value doesn't really matter. Like, you can up it to a good enough baseline with the technology that's there and using Amazon to buy some stuff that it's like, that's no longer an excuse. You know what I mean? Paul Graham talks about this, where strategy is oftentimes just masquerading as procrastination. And that one hit me hard when I first like read that. Paul Graham is the founder of Y Combinator. If you're not on his blog or read some of his essays and stuff, it's absolutely fantastic stuff. An OG in the space. But so much, I would find myself just like strategizing, doing this, and I'm going to put this here and this there. And it was just like, action wins the day. Like, action is the thing that makes a difference. And shout out to Tim, my business partner. He put me onto a book, 38 Letters from John D. Rockefeller to his son. Absolute banger of a book so far, where he's just writing these just heartfelt letters to his son without the intent of ever getting these things published. But he has this piece on action where he's just talking about like, action is the solution. Like, if you have knowledge but you don't have action, that's absolutely worthless. Like, the winners take the knowledge and they immediately put it into play. And so the same thread of like making content and stuff, like, dude, I'm sure you got something to say. You've got a unique perspective, and you just owe it to yourself, if you want to do this, and everybody else, to get better at storytelling. Because what I learned watching Masterclass, you know, that the Masterclass like Martha Stewart and Gordon Ramsay and like all that stuff, one, you're going to learn a ton. But when you watch a bunch of those different Masterclasses, you're going to see that some people are way better visual communicators or communicators on Masterclass than others. Like, I watched Wolfgang Puck and then I watched Gordon Ramsay. And though, you know, maybe Wolfgang Puck is like a better chef or more experienced or whatever, his masterclass fucking sucked compared to Gordon Ramsay, because Gordon Ramsay is really good in front of the camera. It's not just having a story. You have to be able to get better at telling that story. And if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. That's the opportunity cost. Like, somebody else is out there trying to get better at this thing, telling their story. If you're out there taking action, learning how to do this stuff, and just producing and shipping, like, there's so many good learning lessons that you can get from that stuff. But the only way that you're going to get it is by taking action and just trying. Go fucking crush it today. Kev, tell the fans what you got on right now.
ASRB gear only. You already know how we do out here at Allegiate. ASRB only.
So ASRB is opening a shop in Abbot Kinney in Venice. And in promotion of the event, they hooked us up, our coaches up, with an outfit. So we put them all in the outfit. And then we announced on our Instagram that video that, if you've seen, or maybe you haven't seen it, but I'll probably link it over here. Really dope video, just with a photo shoot of all the coach jackets that we made from ASRB. And it's like Allegiate, ASRB. They're freaking sexy as hell. So anyways, a cold email outreach led to this amazing partnership with ASRB. Those guys have been freaking awesome. Ben, our Allegiate coach in the South Bay, is a store manager up at their Glendale location. So good things can happen if you've got a good enough idea, if there's some synergy and you pitch it, and it can be win-win. So reoccurring for curriculum for the studio managers we're going to go through Scrum. This is the art of doing twice the work in half the time. It's an agile framework, and it just talks about project management in a way that you divide the work up into sprints. You look at, okay, what at the top, you set the product backlog. What are all the things that need to go into this to get this thing completed? And then you, in sprint phases, you move that, okay, into this week, we're gonna do just these things and get just these things accomplished. If you can't do any more than what you've decided to go on in the sprint. And then you start to get a feel for what your velocity is as a team. Then you can, do I need to add more? Do I need to add less? And you only focus on those things. And bit by bit, you just chip away. How do you eat an elephant? You cut it up into pieces and you eat it bite by bite. By the way, which is a really gross metaphor. We should probably find a different one. But you get the idea. Big, hairy project, break it up into small pieces, work it in sprints, aggressively sprint at it, and get more done, and then hold each other accountable with daily scrum and stand-up meetings. I just found out that Mariana doesn't watch my vlog. I just asked her.
I'll watch it when I'm on the clock.
She's no free conversations. We always talk about that. What are we doing right now? We just finished the OKR meeting, and it's the last OKR meeting of the quarter, where what we did is we scored the previous OKR, which our goal was 48 to 96 new members from the 6-week challenge campaign. We overall, subjectively and objectively, we hit, 0.83 about? Mm-hmm. So subjectively and objectively, when you evaluate these OKRs, we said that we hit it, which we did. So we feel good about that. And now what we're doing is we're rolling this OKR forward into next quarter, and we're trying to figure out what the actual objective title is going to be. The main thrust of it is do better than the previous quarter, but which is solid, but it's not like motivating enough. So we just need a little bit more time to figure out what that's actually going to be. And then what we're doing is we're defining, okay, like as measured by what? And those are your key results. And so we've got a closed percentage of showed appointments. So how many of your showed appointments do you close? Our goal is going to be 50%. We're looking for a higher 6-week to member conversion percentage. So of the people that purchase this 6-week program, we want to have a higher conversion than the previous quarter. And then we want to minimize our refunds as compared to previous quarters. So we're looking for a motivating objective to figure that out. But as you guys have seen, if you guys have been watching my vlog, which they haven't, you know that when it comes to meetings, it's not about status updates. It's not about like sitting there on one side just kind of talking. It's all about like ricocheting ideas, getting the most out of the people that are here, and actually like doing something with people in the room, that actually having benefit of people there to like bounce ideas off of each other and net come out the other end of something positive. That's what we did. So now we're going to divide up the chapters for reading this book, and then we'll get the team reading. Check these memes out. I'm using Asana, which I love. I love you, Asana. You should sponsor all my content. I can be a great influencer for you. I've got 24 subscribers on YouTube so far. What's up, brother? Welcome. And so anyways, what I'm doing right now is I'm dividing up the curriculum for the Scrum book that we're going to read. So we're going to do Scrum. We're going to use Scrum, the Agile Project Management Framework, and we're also going to read it. And so like at the same time, we're going to learn by doing. I'm going to divide up the pages, which is actually like harder than you would kind of think to figure out like how many pages should you read on a consistent cadence. So pro tip, if you ever have a book club and you need to figure this out, what you do is you do, all right, what page does it start at? What page does it end at? And then you get a total amount of pages. Then you say, all right, if we wanted to do 25 pages per week or 50 pages per week, you put that, and you just use a formula, you divide it, and then that'll tell you how many weeks you have, and then you can take that, you can add it all on the calendar. It's like, hey, everybody, you got to read this many pages by this week, and then you look at what the actual chapters, if they kind of match up to that. Pro tip. This is where it makes the biggest difference, is like if I hit his calendar, this shows me when all of his tasks are due. So as a manager, when I'm like constantly adding stuff on these guys' plates, I can see in conjunction with all the other stuff that they have going on, like if that's too much or too little. And then that way they can visually see when those things are coming up. Meeting agenda is here at the top. So that'll be our standing running meeting agenda. Then I've got sprint to do. That's the thing that we're doing in this week. Then I've got the backlog. These are all the things that we have to do to get this project complete. We'll track our daily stand-ups here. So 1 p.m. every day, we'll say, what did you do since last meeting? What are you doing today? And then do you have any blockers? And then done is just the done category, so we can see how fast we're moving through these tasks. One thing I'm good at, probably through genetics, is not losing my cool. My dad always keeps and always has kept his calm under composure. Just, ER doc, nothing phases that man. And for the most part, that's me as well. I'd say I'm very good at keeping my composure no matter the circumstances. But I almost lost it on this fucking kid today. We're running this 6-week program, and part of it, if you get to the end of the 6 weeks, if you don't feel like you got the value out of the program, you're entitled to a refund. You just basically say, hey, I don't feel like I got the value out of this place, and so I'd like my money back. So I'm listening to him talk to Mariano about his experience, and it was his first time being a part of a gym, and how much he really liked it, and how good he felt after it, and like he really just feels like he got into a good routine and blah blah blah, like singing praises. And he's like, but I want my money back. And they discussed a bit, and she kind of got stuck. She's like, hey Cody, do you have any sort of ideas here? And we talked about some ways. Hey, you want to do digital, because apparently he's moving and didn't want to do that. And basically, maybe he does a free month in July, blah blah blah. And it ended up being him basically coming to the point after this long tirading ramble saying, I just want to get my money back. And I was like, well, the thing is that the refund's entitled if you don't feel like you got the value. Like that's what we kind of sign in the contract is, hey, in the agreement, it's if you get to the end of this thing, you do the challenge. If you didn't get the results that you want and you don't feel like you got the value, I'll happily refund you. But you just explain to me like how much value you got out of this, how you got in a routine and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, nah, I think I just like my money back. And I was just like, okay, like, that's fine. We'll refund you. And maybe I should have just like busted out the contract and been like, look, man, like, I'm sorry, like you got the value there, but it's like in a customer facing business, it's just a tough position to be in where you've got somebody requesting a refund and I've got a couple other people that are doing the same thing. And I don't know if it's just LA or if this is like just a part of these programs and how these 6-week things work. My hunch is it's in part LA, or we're messing something up because we're having a whole lot more conversations on these refunds and things that other people in this gym audience network are having that are the other gyms on the ad campaigns, right? So anyways, I didn't lose my composure. And I also saw something floating around on Instagram of Pharrell just talking to somebody about just you never lose your composure, never react emotionally. Nothing good ever happens about that. And you just find a way to like just soldier through, and you don't react emotionally. And I was just like, that's good advice from Pharrell. I'll continue hopefully to have a streak of not blowing up on people. But man, I almost wanted to just reach across actually sitting next to me, just punch him in the face. But on to the next one.